Hello, hello. The clock strikes 6 and we are live for the Cancer Coach Talks. Hello, my name is Leslie Nance. I am the Cancer Coach the Cancer Coach Talks. I am the Cancer Coach. So tonight, what I wanted to do is I wanted to discuss what I think about is patterns for healing. And what I mean when I say that is what are some patterns that we can put in place where we're constantly moving towards healing, not moving away from healing, but moving towards healing. Now, this can be specific to, of course, healing cancer, but also thinking about just healing our lives in general, healing from a disease, even cancer prevention. This is a very strong conversation. So, hi, Anne-Marie. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Anne-Marie, definitely one of our cancer bosses, has been in our program for quite a long time as a client and then a mentor client, and now on different levels. So it's good to have you here, Anne Marie. Thank you so much for being here. Long time no see, by the way. I meet with my clients every Tuesday morning in a group session. And so Anne Marie and I got to be together earlier today as well. So if you're watching this on replay, thank you so much. The comments do take us longer to get to if you are in replay. The way that you will know that is because there's not a little number flashing up how many people are here. It doesn't say live, those sorts of things. So if you're watching in replay, still feel free to comment, but it does take us a little longer to go back and see those comments because we are helping a lot of people. And so, but we want to be respectful of your comments and your concerns as well. Hey, JD, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. So talking about the patterns of healing, what are some things that we can put in place that will help us step towards healing and away from cancer or away from sickness? And this is something that we talk a lot about as I'm working with my clients. We talk a lot about these patterns, and so tonight I wanted to just give you a high level execution of maybe what some of these patterns that you can take to step towards healing, because that is always our goal, is to help people transform, really to help people understand what it takes in their own lives to live with cancer or even to be cancer free. And so I want to discuss that with you tonight. Hi, Robbie. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And so the first thing I want to start, I have 5 of these that I want to talk about tonight. And they're not tips. They're not, they're not stepping stones. They're just ideas that I'd like to plant in your heart and in your mind. Because when we're talking about healing cancer, we can't just talk about the physical aspect of that. If we talk about just the physical aspect of that, we are missing very large components of what it takes to heal. And so my specialty is actually unlocking all of those components, the physical, the mental, the emotional components that it takes to step towards healing. In other words, becoming a cancer boss, which is what we call our ladies that we work with that are truly taking those monumental steps towards healing. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the acceptance of a diagnosis. There are so many times that I will get on a phone call. So to start the process with me, and I'll share how to do that later, how to get, if you're interested in becoming a client, how to do that. I'll talk about that later in the broadcast today. But to start the process with me, you have to get on a phone call. We don't have anywhere that you can enroll in our program online. You must get on a phone call to speak with either myself or my husband, who helps me with these phone calls. We call these breakthrough calls. And this is not a sales call. This is not a call to get you on there and trick you into doing something. This is where we really get to know you. We get to understand the situation. We take time with you. Usually those calls are about an hour long. We take time with you to understand what your needs are, to understand what you're struggling with, and really come up with the idea, can we help you or not? If we can, we talk about that in detail. If we can't, then we give you resources to find the type of help that you're looking for. So either way, getting massive value out of those initial calls, either with me or my husband. And so thinking about the acceptance of a diagnosis, it is so common that I have somebody get on a phone call with me and they can't even talk about the severity of a diagnosis that they're going through. They're able to tell me about their diagnosis. I have stage 4 cancer. It's metastasized to XYZ, and what I hear them saying, but I'm okay. Really? Then why are we on the phone call? Why are you still looking for help? Why are you reaching out if you're okay? Because obviously something's not going right, or you still wouldn't be looking for help. Somewhere there's a disconnect. And so I get concerned when people are not making an acceptance of the diagnosis. I'm not asking you to like what is happening to you. I'm not asking you to skip down the street with a basket going, "Yay, I have cancer." Right? That's not the expectation. But the expectation is the acceptance of the awful truth that you have cancer. The awful truth that can bring up many paralyzing emotions. And if you're constantly doing this with those emotions, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Guess what? You're not fine. You're not okay. Maybe you want everybody to believe that, but there's something that is disconnected inside of you. You're struggling to figure out what healing looks like for you. You have loads of question marks about why this happened. Yes, 9 years. And so, what is happening? What goes on? Why am I struggling on this level? Now, then, if you're really okay, that's something different. Sometimes I talk to somebody and I'm thinking, wow, you really are okay. They're on a good path. And they just want some confirmation that that's the truth. Most of the time, that's not the case. If I talk to 10 people like that, there's like half of them, not half of them, but half of one of them, very small percentage, that truly has their poop together when it comes to a diagnosis. So, the acceptance of this awful truth, the acceptance of the diagnosis, this can be paralyzing. Also, what it can do is it can make you the most resourceful you have ever been in your entire life. Right? How many of you got cancer and you became like the most resourceful person on the planet, right? You started looking for answers immediately. You got incredibly resourceful. So when I think about this and I think about the acceptance of this, I want to equate it to a story that you may or may not be familiar with. But I'm going to tell you a little story. There was a man, he was a young man, and he was hiking, and I think it was in Utah, but he was in those slot canyons. You've seen those slot canyons. They're beautiful. They're like red sandstone. And he was hiking, he was solo hiking in these slot canyons, and he fell. He stumbled and he fell. And when he fell, his arm got lodged down between two rocks. Now, this is kind of a brutal story, so bear with me. If you're sensitive to brutality, you might be like, blah, blah, oh my God, how did he, blah, right? It's a shocking story. But he was stuck, and he was stuck there for days. And the problem with this is that he needed to come to some acceptance of what was going on, that he was indeed stuck in this position and that he could not get out, and that there was no help coming from him for him. Now, had he stayed there and thought, help is going to come, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to, he probably would have died there. But no, he had an extraordinary acceptance of what was happening to him. And he removed his own arm with a pocket knife, pretty much the equivalent of a pocket knife. He removed his own arm to save his life. Now, that is an acceptance of a diagnosis, an acceptance of a situation. But here's my second point, and here's what he didn't do. He did not accept the prognosis of that situation. So my second point is that he rejected the prognosis. Wow, this is really bad. I'm stuck in a canyon. My arm is stuck. I can't pull it out. There's nobody coming to help me. I've been here for days. Nobody's coming to rescue me. I need to figure out how to get out of this situation. So he rejected that he was going to die there. So much so that he cut off his own arm to get out of the situation. If you're just coming into the story, you're like, what the heck is she talking about? Go back and watch replay when I'm done. But he rejected his prognosis so much that he said, well, I'm not going to die here. And so much so that he cut off his own arm. Now, some people might say that's a strong will to live. Well, yes. And he needed to get resourceful. And sometimes in the darkest of the darkest times, in the darkest of the darkest days, the acceptance of the diagnosis that you indeed, it's true, you have cancer, we get the most resourceful. We become the biggest, baddest asses on the planet. We show up and show out. The acceptance of the diagnosis, but the rejection of the prognosis. Do you see the distinction? Right? A rejection of the prognosis might look like not believing everything that they're telling you about your cancer. I'm going to tell you my own story in just a second. Not believing everything that they tell you about your cancer, right? Your cancer is deadly. It's going to kill you. You'll be dead in 5 years, maybe 3, maybe 5 if you're lucky, right? We got to cut a whole bunch of stuff off. You need to do years worth of chemo, months, whatever. Sometimes the rejection of the prognosis means that you have a bunch of question marks if that is your path. This is going to be my next point, by the way. Sometimes you don't have to believe everything that they're telling you. But here's the thing you can't do. You also can't walk in blind faith. Now, the guy in the canyon with his arm, walking in blind faith would be, I'm just going to lay here and believe that somebody's going to come rescue me. Now, he might have done that for a period of time, but then he realized that was not going to happen. So therefore, I got to get resourceful and I got to reject the notion that I'm going to die here. We got to figure out how to get out of this. And he was so passionate about it that he cut his own arm off. Amazing story, by the way. There's a whole book. I mean, I think there's even like a video I have never watched it because I probably freak out because I'm gruesome things like that. Even telling the story kind of gives me the willies a little bit. But the rejection, the acceptance of the diagnosis, the rejection of the prognosis. I rejected my prognosis. It took me a while to accept my diagnosis, quite frankly. I was a total mess. If you know anything about my story, which you can read about on my website, anystagecancer.com, I was a total and complete mess. But what happened was, as I got my stuff together, as I got my mind on board with what I wanted to happen, not what they told me was going to happen, but with what I wanted to happen, I began to reject my prognosis to the point of one doctor saying to me, you know, Leslie, this cancer is going to be back in a year. It's going to be all over your body. And there's not going to be anything we can do for you at that point. What? What's my 5-year statistics? What's my 5-year prognosis? In the toilet. Pretty much not going to be here. That was 9 years ago. Not only do I not have any cancer in my body, and I get scanned regularly to know that, but I'm the healthiest that I've ever been. I was 42 when I was diagnosed. I'm 51 now. I'm healthier at 51 than I ever was at 42. And even before that. It was the rejection of that prognosis. It was saying, I am willing to cut my own arm off to make the changes, not literally, of course, but figuratively, to make the changes that I need to make, excuse me, in my life. I've been talking a lot today, pardon me, to make the changes in my life so that I do not live up to what you think is going to happen to me. And so I went to work on that. That's the woman you see before you today. That's why I do what I do. That's why I became a cancer coach. That's why I sit so closely with my clients every single day, teaching them, helping them tune into that same frequency, the acceptance of the diagnosis, the rejection of the prognosis. I work with a lot of stage 4 clients. I asked them today in our training, why haven't you given up? What's keeping you here? Why not just let cancer take over? It's a big question. Sometimes you shrug your shoulders and go, God, I don't know. This is really hard. Is it worth it? Right? I did that many times. The third thing I want to talk about is initiative, choosing what you want to happen. After you have accepted the diagnosis, you've rejected the prognosis, you better show some initiative because blind faith does not work. You must put in the work. You must show up to get what you want out of this journey. It's not going to come to you on a silver platter. It's not going to be something magical. You have to show up. Now, the magical part is you showing up that way, you showing the initiative, you choosing what you want to happen. So many people will say to me, well, I didn't have a choice. Yes, you did. You always have a choice. They gave me lots of choices. Remove both breasts, do a year's worth of chemo, do 5 years of one drug, do 10 years of another drug. Oh, and by the way, we probably need to do radiation even if we remove the breast. Oh, and PS, we probably need to get rid of your ovaries or even do a total hysterectomy because the cancer could spread there too. I had to show some initiative. I had to figure out what I wanted to happen. What do I want to happen? Some of you are healing naturally. Amazing. Some of you are using medical practices. Some of you are using both practices together. Most of my clients are using holistic practices, bent over medical practices to achieve the outcome that they want. But part of working with me is understanding what do you want to happen? You better know. Healing will always be elusive unless you know. You get to choose what you want to happen. You have a choice. Not letting cancer boss you around is one of the fundamentals of healing. It's one of the biggest success steps that my clients take. This might mean disagreeing with your doctors. This might mean disagreeing with your loved ones. This might mean disagreeing with yourself at times, being at odds with your own psyche on what to do, making choices. But ultimately, you have to choose what is right for you. You must show the initiative. You must show up and show the initiative and do the work as well. There are many paths to healing. You might hear somebody that says, "Oh, well, I healed my cancer by doing XYZ." And then all of a sudden you're like, "Well, maybe I need to do XYZ. I think XYZ is the thing I need to do. Absolutely need to do XYZ." But you've not made the initiative. You've just heard the story and you hung on to the pipe dream and you hung on to the idea like, "Oh, this is the thing." And it doesn't matter if it was one story or 100 stories. You don't do the work to align to that path of healing. The person that got the results is because they showed the initiative to get the results. Just signing up for it is not initiative. I have people that sign up and make the investment in time and energy and money to sign up and work with me, and they show no initiative. They don't do the work. And guess what happens? They don't get the result. I'm blatant about that. You don't show up, you don't do the work, you don't stick close to me, you don't text me when you're in trouble, you don't eat the food, you don't, do the mindset work, you think it's silly, blah, 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 blah. Okay, but you're not going to get the result. Bottom line. You must show up for the healing that you want. You can't sit back on your booty because I have cancer. You got to kick it into high gear. You've got to get resourceful. You've got to figure out how you're going to heal on your terms. What does that mean to you? And what are you willing to go all in on? 100%, not backing out, doing it. The fourth thing I want to talk about is utilizing the acceptance of the diagnosis, the rejection of the prognosis, and showing the initiative. And then thinking about cancer as a growth opportunity. You don't grow when things are easy. Diamonds don't get made in dirt that is just dirt. Nope. They get pressed. They get crushed. crush so hard that they turn into something beautiful that a lot of people desire. When a plant is popping up through the soil, when the seed takes root and starts to pop up through the soil, it's hard. It's a struggle for that little seed to pop up through that dirt to create this beautiful thing. This orchid that's behind me. It's a struggle. It's also a struggle to keep it alive because I'm not very good at that sort of thing. Somebody gave it to me for my birthday, and I told them I'm going to love it. I'm going to love it while it's alive, but I'll probably kill it. Just, I've killed like 20 of those things. Anybody has any orchid tips, please hit me up. But it's a struggle. This is when we're growing, is when we're struggling through something. This is when we're resourceful. This is when we learn what we're made of. I like to think about this as a dangerous opportunity. The Chinese word actually for crisis actually literally translates to dangerous opportunity. A crisis, a dangerous opportunity. An opportunity that gives us some experience, that helps us build muscle. Now, we didn't ask for it. None of us said, oh, I want cancer so I can grow. Nope. It was laid right in your lap. And you can choose to let it stay underneath it and keep you stuck and keep you wallowing around in victimhood and poor me and oh shit and what am I going to do? Or you can choose to rise above it and say, what do you got to teach me? You came here for a reason. I was just talking with a client today. And she and I were having our first one-on-one. I have a one-on-one session with my clients in their third week. And we were having a one-on-one, and she and I were having a deep discussion, a heart-to-heart discussion about what her stage 4 cancer had come here to teach her. Stage 4. She's been through a lot. This has only happened a few weeks ago. And she's already accepted the diagnosis, rejected the prognosis, showed initiative, and now she's looking at the growth opportunity. What is this sucker here to teach me? What do I have to learn from this process? This is a dangerous opportunity to excel, to be something so powerful, something I never dreamed of. How many stories could I tell you like that? My own. Anne Marie, who's here with us tonight, same story. Her two-time cancer survivor. And it presented itself with opportunity after opportunity after opportunity for her to be something extraordinary. Marilyn, same thing. To elevate her into a new health, into a new way of thinking about her relationship with her body. For some of us, cancer saved our lives. I don't believe that cancer took years off of my life. I believe it added years to my life because of the attention that I have given my health because of its presence in my life, because how closely I pay attention. It was a golden opportunity. It was a golden growth opportunity, not just because I'm here as the cancer coach, not just because it created, something where I could help other people, but it just looking inward for me, it probably added years to my life because I'm diligent, because I pay attention, because I'm mindful of what I want to create in my own health, mentally, emotionally, physically. So what is the growth opportunity? What does it come to teach you? And then lastly, thinking about the patterns of healing. What are those patterns, right? I cannot ignore lifestyle changes in this. Are you willing to alter lifelong patterns, lifelong habits in your physical life, in your personal life, in your emotional life, in your what am I trying to say? In your mental life? Are you willing to alter lifelong patterns to gain healing. I had a client, very, very stressful, very high powered job. And she was so dialed into wanting to heal, wanting to heal, wanting to heal. About 4 weeks in the program, she came to me in tears and she said, I have to talk to you like today. And I said, okay, let's hop on the phone. So I made time for her. We got on a phone call and she told me, she said, I had a realization today. In order for me to heal, I need to quit my job. Now, she was an executive for a Fortune 500, top level, part of the executive team. And she said, if I am going to heal, I have to get out of this toxic environment that I'm in. Can you help me game plan that? Okay. So we talked about it. I asked her, I drilled her, are you sure this could cause more stress? Releasing a job, releasing a job that you've worked your whole life for, that you've climbed the corporate ladder hand over hand, step by step to get where you are. Are you sure? And everything inside of her said, yes, I must make this lifestyle change. And she did. 6 months later, she had went in for scans and there was no evidence of disease. Now she's pleasantly retired at 52 years old. She's pleasantly retired and still cancer free. This has been several years now. Now, she had a financial opportunity because she had had such a great job for so long, and she's single and doesn't have any responsibility of children and that sort of thing, that she could do that. But that was just her circumstances. But this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. I have had people that have questioned, do I belong with my spouse? This has been a toxic relationship for a long time. Sometimes we have to reach into our lifestyle and say, what is it that needs to change? We were having conversations today in our group session today with my clients about people that are kind of resenting this work that we're doing, this healing work that we're doing. There's some resentment that shows up. Do you need those people in your life? Are you willing to change the physical? Are you willing to eat more vegetables? Are you willing to learn to cook? Are you willing to stand in the kitchen? I don't care if you hate to cook. It's the worst thing in the world. But are you willing to show up like a boss and make these lifestyle changes if you knew that it was going to save your life? Would you do it? Would you show up? Would you make the changes? Would you sit down in an hour of meditation every single day if you knew it was the thing that was going to connect you to your healing? I'm a busybody. I am super high puppy energy. I always have been. So you probably can tell. Duh. Like super high puppy energy all the time, going. Brain is going, 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 going. But I sit down for an hour to 2 hours every single day and quiet my mind, get in contact with my subconscious, prayerful meditation, praying for my clients, believing in their healing, believing in their ability to show up like a boss and to connect to this work every single day. Was that hard for me when I started? Yes. Does it contribute to my healing and not having cancer anymore? Yes. What lifestyle changes are you willing to do? Maybe it's something as simple as giving up smoking, although that's not simple. It's very difficult. Maybe it's learning to buy organics. Maybe it's enrolling in a course. Maybe you've never taken a course in your entire life. You've never engaged with a coach or anything your entire life. You don't even know like what happens when that happens. But you're willing to make the lifestyle change. You're willing to try something new. You're willing to develop these skill sets. Now, you can bet your bottom dollar. I'm going to ask you to do all of that, not meditate for an hour. I'm going to ask you to slow your mind down every day. But that's meditating for an hour, 2 hours is a skill. It's taken me years to get to that point. But, showing up like a boss, I'm going to ask you to do that. I'm not going to kick you in your butt. I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm not going to call you every day. I'm not going to be like, are you doing your work? I'm going to expect that you want healing so bad that you show up like a boss every single day that you're working with me. And I'm going to give you the tools to do that. I'm going to give you the understanding how to do that. Are these things that you're willing to change? What would you be willing to do? And this isn't out of desperation. Some people may mistake this out of, oh, well, she's playing on our desperations. No, no. My only goal is to watch you transform. You can ask any single one of my clients. My only goal is to watch you transform, is to take you step by step, one step closer to healing, one foot in front of the other, so that cancer no longer bosses you around, but indeed you are the boss of the situation. I will tell you, when people are in too much of a victim mode, when they're too desperate, when they're not showing their resourcefulness, I don't even make them an offer. I will tell them, I'm sorry, it's not a good fit, but here's something that may be a good fit for you. I will point them in a direction to get the help that they need. Sometimes they go get that help and they're like, hey, now I'm ready for your help. Like, I totally see what you were talking about. Now I'm ready for you to help me. Cancer is as much of an emotional and a mental healing process as it is a physical. You cannot just focus on one component. You must focus on all components, right? That. So acceptance of a diagnosis, rejection of a prognosis, showing the initiative, using cancer as a growth opportunity, and really digging into those lifestyle changes. Those are really the patterns of healing. This is where the root of all of this is. Now, if this resonated with you tonight and you're like, hell to the yeah, I want some more of that. I only work with women, first of all, so that needs to be said. I currently am not working with men, not because of anything other than bandwidth, quite frankly. If I had more bandwidth, which I'm working on, if I had more bandwidth in our coaching practice, I would be able to work with men. But right now, I am just working with women. But men, stay tuned here. This is everything I teach here is still very relative. And if you want a resource for a coach and you're a male, please reach out. I do have someone that I can point you in their direction, who's very much like me, who talks about cancer very much like I do. So that's one thing, only working with women. You do need to go through the process, and the process is not designed to trick you into anything. It's actually just designed to prepare you for the next step. And so the next step, like from something like this, is actually going to my website, anystagecancer.com. And on the homepage, so the website is anystagecancer.com, just like the little logo says, anystagecancer.com. Okay. Go there on the homepage. You can enroll for a webinar. It's completely free. There's no hitch in the giddy. There's no nothing. In fact, it's going to give you another free opportunity at the end of that to speak with me or my husband. We want to make sure that we are speaking your language. It is important to us that we are speaking your language, that you still, after watching that webinar, have a belief system that I am the person that can help you. If that's the case, at the end of that webinar, you get an opportunity to book a call with us. I know this seems like a lot of hoops, but bear with me, because along the way, you're also gathering tools. You're gathering tools. Nobody ever felt like that 45-minute webinar was a waste of time. Trust me. I get so many compliments every single day in my email. My email is flooded with, oh my gosh, that webinar is so amazing. Thank you so much. It was exactly what I needed. Some people, it's exactly what they needed to move on. Other people need more. And so if you need more after you watch that, then you're going to get on the horn with my husband or I. Okay. My husband is Robin. He's amazing. He is, some people just like want to talk to him because he's so spectacular. Sometimes it's me. I will tell you, my schedule is more crowded than his is, so a lot of times it's him. But you're going to get on the phone call with us. We're going to talk about your needs. We're going to talk about what's working, what's not working. Where do you want to go from here? What is the next step? And then if you're a good fit, we're going to make you an offer to help you. And when we do that, you need to be ready to make a decision. You need to be ready to make a decision. You've jumped through all of these hoops. You need to be ready to make a decision. And when you're ready to make that decision, my promise to you, after you've done all of that, and I know that I can help you 100%, I'm going to show up in a way and love you like you've never been loved before. And I'm going to walk you through this process. I'm going to teach you what I know about healing. And believe me, what I taught you tonight is just the tiny tip of the iceberg. And so if that is something that you are interested in, go do it. Get there, watch the webinar, reach out, book the call, talk to me, talk to my husband. Let's see. His name is Robin, by the way. I keep saying husband. And you're like, who's the husband? His name is Robin. Talk to us, make that connection. We love and serve people to healing every single day. It is what I am put here to do. It's the reason. That is the lesson. That is the opportunity that cancer came for me in my life, was to live this purpose.